Oh, good.
So what you up to?
I'm live.
Oh, you're live? Oh, my bad.
Oh, it's your band?
Yeah, I didn't know that you're live.
You're not bad.
Oh, I didn't mean to cut you if you're streaming live.
Why?
Oh, just didn't want to interrupt.
What is there a certain protocol to this?
No, not really, but
No.
I just figured interrupting was like, I don't know, rude.
Oh, rude. No, no, you're not rude.
Oh, okay.
No, not at all. Nobody's even in here.
You're live and nobody's watching?
I just went on like 2 minutes ago, so
Okay.
we'll see if people are coming in. I was coming in. My plan was to do a live pickup video,
Oh, okay. I think I'll have to watch to see what you got.
or you can stay on the phone.
Yeah, I'll probably watch.
You're not gonna stay on the phone?
No, I'll stay on the phone. Yeah.
Oh, okay, great.
But I'm on my way home, so I'll be able to watch in a few.
I think you've heard of all this stuff anyway. This is like Gen Con, and then, well, one bag is Gen Con, and the other bag is a bag you don't know anything about. So, maybe if you want, you could throw some feedback out.
Alright, sounds good.
Like a grr. Like a grr, for example. You know what I'm
I'm
saying?
sure there's a girl there somewhere.
Oh, you think so?
Yeah, maybe.
All right. Well, I'll tell you what. Why don't we get started?
Sure. Why not?
Okay. All right, we got another pickup video here. I recently went to Gen Con. We've got my buddy Anubis all the way out in Toledo, who happens to be on the phone right now. I'm relatively sure you can hear him. Say hello, Anubis.
What up? Hello. TV, not TV viewers.
What was that?
I was going to say, hello to TV viewers, but you're not watching on TV.
Right. Right. Hello, TV viewers, but we're not watching on TV. Right. This is YouTube. YouTube and/or Twitch. All right. So anyway, I went to Gen Con, and I picked up a few things that I thought you'd be interested in seeing. Gen Con is the largest and oldest gaming convention in the world. This year was their 50th anniversary. It was a lot of fun. I played some games, saw some costumes, had some nice food. Great 4 days. Um, and one part of the convention, they have an auction. And at the auction, there's a consignment area where people sell things. And it's basically all games. Everything, Dungeons and Dragons, Ravenloft, Shadowrun, a million board games, Fireball Island, Lionheart, Hero Quest, anything you can think of, people are selling. It's not bare bottom prices by any means. You're not going to find amazing deals. You may find a deal here or there, but for the most part, the stuff you're buying is priced accordingly, but it's stuff you're not going to find every day. And that was the case with me. I basically bought a couple of games here that, aren't. This was not a steal, but to find these in the wild, the caliber of games they were, for me, it was definitely worth grabbing. So the first game I found digging around this video game area, and there wasn't many video games. John here is breaking in saying everyone at Gen Con knows that retro games and prices accordingly. Oh, knows their retro games and prices accordingly. Yeah, that's true. Although I would say video games, it's not a lot of people do that at Gen Con. Gen Con's more about board games and whatnot. So the auction, for instance, I don't think I've ever seen a video game being auctioned there. It's more like miniatures for Dungeons and Dragons or some sort of role playing game. Star Trek stuff, Star Wars stuff, mainly D&D stuff, stuff for tabletop role playing. So anyway, there is a small video game area. They had stuff like 7,800 games in the box. They had about 7 of those. The common ones, though, there was Xevious, Joust, Donkey Kong Jr., whatever. And I've got all those loose, so I wasn't really willing to spend, $15 on Atari games boxed. There were some boxed Nintendo games there. I had a copy of Turtles 2 in the box in my hand for the NES. That would have been cool to grab, but it was pretty beat up, and it was like $25. I already have a copy of that. And I have a good, amount of NES boxed games, a decent amount, enough where if I get nostalgic and want to feel, get the full experience of a Nintendo game, I have a good selection here to do that with. So I wasn't like, a box of NES games, I'll throw money at whatever you give me. So I passed on Turtles 2. I also passed on Tiny Toon Adventures, which I think they were asking for around $20, $25. And basically the way these consignments go is, on the first day it's a certain price, and the second and third days they'll drop it down about 5-10%. So I think on the final day, Tiny Toon Adventures probably would have cost around $15. Just decent, but we already had the game. Like I said, box titles, they have to be good. They have to be a crazy price for me to buy another copy of a video game. So, all right. So what I did find in a plastic bag was a game I'd never heard of before for the Super Nintendo. It's a game called Treasure Hunter G. Treasure Hunter G. How many games do I have? I don't know. Somewhere that sound nice is asking how many games I have. Somewhere between 1,200 to 1,500. That's a rough guess. I really don't know. That's what we kind of landed on, though. What's that? What'd you say, Anubis?
You're talking about your total? Yeah, I'd say you're close to 2.
You said close to 2,000?
Yeah,
maybe.
Anubis
has actually seen the collection in full, so you'd say around 2,000?
Yeah, at least. I mean, no more than that, but somewhere near that number.
Okay. Yeah, I agree. 1,500 to $2,000. I could go with that. All right. So anyway, Treasure Hunter G. You'll notice it's got the SquareSoft symbol here for the Super Nintendo, and really what grabbed me initially here is Treasure Hunter, a game about treasure hunting in the 16-bit era by Square. That sounds like a lot of fun. And looking at the back, it looks. What's that?
It should be pretty good at Square.
Right. I mean, they've made their share of stickers, but this is Super Nintendo by Square, and I'm finding this in a gaming convention. That makes me believe it might be something interesting. Looking at the back, looks like your general. Are you breaking? What are you doing down there? What are you doing over there?
I'm getting in the house.
It just sounds like you're banging around. So must be that external microphone. All right. So anyway, that's okay. It's fine. So you got Treasure Hunter G here. You know, it's got some typical. Looks like it's typical RPG screenshots here. And I was like, oh man, did this not make it over to? Did this not make it over here? And there was a sales form attached to it, and it said it was English translated, never made it to Japan, SquareSoft RPG, and I was like, oh my god! And it's a 1996, and I was just like, wow, this is really cool. And it was $40, which is obviously a lot of money. The funny thing is that's probably about half of what this game would have been had it made it to American shores. I remember spending $70 to $80 on Final Fantasy III at KB Toys. I think I might have spent that much for Super Street Fighter 2 as well. I think that's right. You believe that? That Super Street Fighter 2, a game that this was the second version, they're selling it for $80. But I bought it. Bought that in Final Fantasy 3. What's that?
I got Mega Man 2 new, and that was like 60.
Right. Right. So they Super Nintendo games were not cheap back then. So here we are. We had a nice, this is a like a pristine box until I dropped it. There's a corner here. I'm not really, to be honest, I didn't really care about the box. Frankly, if it would have just been the cart and I got it for $30, I would have been happier. But it was with the box, and it's got the game here. And after doing a little research, I found out that this was the final game that Square put out on the Super Nintendo RPG before Square and Nintendo had their falling out. I'm not exactly sure what the cause of the fallout was. I don't remember what that is anymore, but that fallout was huge. Are you okay?
Yes, I'm alive.
Okay.
Long pipe, actually.
Am I the only one who can hear him coughing? I'm not sure. All right.
Sorry, but it was the wrong pipe.
Okay, wrong pipe. That's okay. So I don't remember what the falling out was between SquareSoft and Nintendo, but it was pretty devastating for Nintendo, certainly, because there was not another Square RPG out for the entire lifespan of the Nintendo 64. I guess since, really. I mean, they started making stuff for the GameCube, like Final Fantasy Crystal Chronicles, but, GameCube gets Final Fantasy Crystal Chronicles, PlayStation gets Final Fantasy VII. Pretty devastating. And I think that all began from bad blood between the two companies. Obviously, you're not going to want to make Final Fantasy VII on the N64. They just didn't have the right hardware, the right medium. You need that CD technology to be able to pull off the cutscenes that they wanted to make for Final Fantasy VII. You just couldn't do that on the N64 without making a cart that rivaled the price of a Neo Geo cart. But
well, they said that they could put it on the 64, but it would have taken 6 carts to do.
Well, that's what I'm saying. It would have been like a $400 cart. I know we can do it, but yeah, you're saying 6 carts? That would have been interesting. Popping carts in and out. I'm not even sure that's possible. You'd need like an internal memory to save the game. So anyway, Treasure Hunter G, the final SquareSoft RPG ever put out for the Super Nintendo throughout the entire world. Never made it to America. It's sitting here in my hands for $40. Is this a good price? No, that's pretty much what you get on eBay, but I was getting it in the wild. And I think that's a big part of it. It was a game I just never heard of for the SNES. I have a very good amount of the creme de la creme RPGs that are on the library for the American for America. So I was like, let's give it a shot. And it's apparently a strategy RPG. I've played about an hour of it. I liked it. It was good. Are all those DVDs porn? What's your name? Button Parky. Are all those DVDs porn? They're not DVDs. Do you know what website you're on, sir? Do you have any idea where in the internet you are? Do you just bound around throwing out sentences without periods or question marks? All right, let's continue. Yeah. Are those DVDs porn? You know what? I think I'm going to put that in the updates. That's such a great question. Are those DVDs porn? Just throw that in the updates. All right, there we go. You got a dog barking. It's the Midwest. I don't know what to tell you. Dogs bark. All right. Your neighbor's a dog?
Yeah.
All right. So the next pickup I found digging around the consignment at Gen Con, I was like, wow, this exists? I had no idea. Now, right off the bat, you can tell the label on this is really cheap. So cheap that it's actually peeling off. This was obviously made by somebody who sucks at labels. But I'm not worried about that. What I'm worried about what game it is. I'm going to glue down the label again, but take a look at that. Secret of Mana 2. Secret of Mana 2. Now, if you don't know anything about Secret of Mana, it's basically certainly one of the most touted RPGs on the SNES. I'd give the top 3 most popular SNES RPGs out there. It's hard to say. It's probably Final Fantasy III, Super Mario RPG, and Secret of Mana. And I hate that I'm not including Chrono Trigger on that, but I think that's probably how it would go down. Maybe Chrono Trigger and Secret of Mana are about tied, but I'd have to give it to Secret of Mana mainly because it's a 3-player action RPG. Now I don't own Secret of Mana, the first one. I've played it, rented it. I never really thought it was that great. I found mainly the characters themselves to be very boring. Now, it's interesting that it's a 3-player action RPG on the SNES, you know, so especially it being made by Squaresoft. But the characters was like, you get to choose from a boy, a girl, and then like some puffball thing that I don't know, is it their pet or something? It's just like this really white, very, you know, Japanesey thing, puffball with feet. And I'm like, I don't want to play any of these characters. They all look boring to me. Now, maybe if you sat down with 2 other friends and really tried to grind out the game, it would be fun. But to me, it was never worth the price tag. These days, it's like a $60 game. Big Boy Wood, hello. So I was like, I never picked up Secret of Mana. I might, if I'm lucky, try and track down the Super Nintendo Mini that's out in a month. Secret of Mana's on that. I'll have it that way, but as things stand now, I've never had Secret of Mana. And a big part of that was I just didn't think it looked like a lot of fun. But looking at this label, I can see that there's actually 6 characters here. So I'm like, okay. Instead of 3 characters, you get to choose from 6. And then looking even further, one here's got a big shield, another one's got like a staff, one's using like a trident. And I'm like, okay, so these are like actual classes, as opposed to just boy, girl, puffball. I've got like a fighter, and a cleric, and a magician. That's what I'm talking about. That's what I would want to sit down with the 3 other people and play. So on top of it, apparently, after doing some research and playing this, which I really have been playing, I played a little bit of Treasure Hunter G. This one I've been playing a lot. The way it works is you pick your character, and then you pick your character's companion, and then you pick your character's like support character. So there's 3. You eventually have 3 people in your party, but depending on the 3 people you pick, drastically changes the storyline. It changes where you start the game, who are your allies, who are your enemies, and also down the line, the characters you choose to be in your party are also going to change the tides of where the story moves as well. So that leads me to believe this is one of those rare action RPGs where it's multiplayer action RPGs where I don't feel guilty playing this on my own. Generally, when it's a multiplayer action RPG, I want to save it. I save it because I want to experience the surprises and the challenges with someone else. I feel like the game's designed to do that. Secret of Mana being no exception. But this one, I can make a campaign with the cleric, play through it by my own, experience that story, and then if I ever sit down with 2 other friends, play somebody like the Grappler, and, it'll be a totally different experience. So they were asking $30 on this for a loose cart with a terrible label. But the game inside, man, I could not pass this up. This was like really good for me. I haven't sat down with a really good quality SNES RPG in a long time, at least 2 years. So I've been playing this one and really getting a kick out of it. So there you go, $30 on that one.
So is that one you're saving for us? Or are we going to go with Crystal Chronicles again?
I think we'll still play Crystal Chronicles because it's a lot of fun. But yeah, I mean, eventually down the line, I think that would be great to play with you and Eve. I think that'd be an awesome 3-player game. The thing about Secret of Mana is you really don't get all 3 characters together until like 2 hours in, because they really do establish like who the main character is. There are certain challenges they have to do to get them on the road. At least that's how I've experienced it so far. I didn't get my 3 characters in until about 2 hours in, so maybe even 4 hours in. I don't really remember. So it's not perfect in that regard. It's almost like you don't have to live together or something to really play that, as opposed to Crystal Chronicles where you're all there initially. But I'm loving it. I mean, it looks gorgeous, sounds gorgeous, gameplay is really fun. I like the class I'm playing. So, I'm excited to see where it goes. Alright, and then finally, the only thing I got on the first day that may be considered a deal, quote unquote, I found this. Tiger handheld toy, Star Trek The Next Generation. Could not be a more perfect Tiger handheld for me to grab. I collect these. I love these. If I see them for $5, I'm going to grab them. I think I have some decent ones. Got Sonic 3. I've got Double Dragon. Double Dragon was a gift. A few more. Some of the more basic ones. But yeah, Star Trek. The Next Generation, and it even came with batteries. So there you go. There's the Enterprise. Oh, we just hit an asteroid. And I hear, believe it or not, if you actually get through the first 2 stages of the ship combat, there's even a second level where you're Worf fighting Romulans. So on foot. So there you go. I was pretty excited about that. I've played a lot. I've played some really bad ones. This one seems decent. I don't know, for a Tiger Handle. All right. So the second day, I bought a few other things from the consignment place. Actually, no, these are from the floor. There's a bunch of vendors there, board games. I mean, there's got to be like 2,000 vendors at this thing. Maybe 1,000 vendors. Hundreds easily. And I always look for half-price books because it's one of the few places that has what's the word I'm looking for? Video games. So I go there and it's insulting. The games are just insultingly overpriced. There's so much. Half-price books, man, I'll tell you, they will rake you over the coals if they can. But right across from them, I see a collection of books, about 10 of them, and I'm like, oh my god, this is great. So I take a couple of these books. Some of them were priced for like $10. One was priced as much as $15. I find 2 for $5. Bring them to the guy. Get him to ring him up for me, and I say, "Hey, can you do $5 on the rest of these books?" And he looks at the books, and he's like, $5. He's like, we populate this booth for the convention from a number of different stores who price differently, and to be honest, these 2 for $5, that's a little too low. And I'm like, oh, well, sorry. So he's like, no, so I can't go any lower than the other one. So I'm like, all right, well, fine, just give me these 2 then. So here you go. By Joe Dever. We have 2 books from the long extinct Lone Wolf series. Now, what's so special about these games? You'll notice they say Lone Wolf, a role-playing adventure. You got the 12th book in the series here, Masters of Darkness, which coincidentally was the first one I ever picked up as a kid. And the follow-up, the 13th chapter, which is The Plague Lords of Rule. So these really are full-on RPG experiences. Now, I'm not going to open these. They're wrapped in plastic. And I think until I'm actually ready to play through these, I'm going to keep them like this. But let me go get another version. I'll get the very first book put out in the series. And we'll take a look at it. So I have about 6 of these books now. And I believe there's around 15. There's some other supplemental stuff, like there's a really cool map companion book. But basically, this is a full-on role-playing adventure in the book. Now, the closest I can equate this to is a choose-your-own-adventure book. Most people know those. But this goes way beyond a choose-your-own-adventure. For one thing, the first 40 pages, 30 pages are devoted to describing how to build your character. There's also in the beginning of the book here, as you can see, action chart. And that, as you can see, this is actually a character sheet. It's got everything from skills to basic stats like strength to even an area to write your inventory. You know, what's in your backpack. So, yeah, you're making a character. And depending on how you make your character is how you'll be able to get through the game. Say you come across maybe like a bear. The book will say, you've encountered a bear. If you have the skill Animal Control, turn to page 23. If you don't, turn to page 40. And 23, if you turn there, maybe you can befriend the bear. Page 40, you might have to fight it. And you can fight in this. There's actually combat. And in the back of the game, you've got this page here, which kind of looks like a Sudoku. But basically, this is your dice. And the way that works is you take a pen or something, in my case, an old chicken satay stick, and you close your eyes, and you end up on 3. And then you take the number 3, and you go over to this combat rules thing, and that tells you how much you were hit for, how much you hit for. It's all dependent on the monster's strength versus your strength. It's really not that complicated once you sit down and read the first 30 pages there and make your guy. But it's absolutely fascinating. These are dark books. It's really neat that you have things like rations. You got to make sure you have enough rations. There are parts in the book where you can buy things. There's an economy system, depending on where your travels lead you. And the most interesting part is these 15 books. You can literally take your character from the previous book and put it into the next. So you're playing the same character across 15 books. So it's really fascinating in that regard. There'll be other things like, maybe you'll come across a person who's wearing an amulet. And it'll say things like, if you've played through the adventure, book 11, the adventure, the Prisoners of Time, turn to this page. So that's like some other sometimes you'll pick up some item in one book that won't have any significance unless you play this other book down the line. So it's really fascinating and brilliant that this Joe Dever guy was able to put this whole world together and give you the ability. I mean, in 1990, this was amazing, because in 1990, what did we have for RPGs? I mean, I guess he had a couple Final Fantasies on the Game Boy, but these were dark, really mature experiences, D&D experiences, and you didn't have to have a DM, you didn't have to get anybody together, you just popped this in the back of your pocket, and all you needed was a pencil. So, really exciting. I got, like I said, the 2 books I got were $5. Flight of the Dark, the first one, just to give you an example, he was trying to get 15 for it. So these were out of print, hard to find. You could probably grab them on eBay, but it's always more exciting to find them in the wild like that. And I think $5 was actually a good deal on them. So there you go. 2 more things here. At the Mayfair booth at Gen Con, they're usually unloading a lot of stuff. Mayfair is the company that makes Settlers of Catan, among other board games. They have a whole bunch, but they have a bargain. They have a bargain rack, and I usually go that way because they have really cheap games. So for $4, we found Gold Ahoy. It's new. It's brand new. I don't know. It's a pirate game. I don't know anything about it. It's 2 players. Pirate Golden Hook's legendary gold treasure has appeared. I don't know. Not really sure. Like I said, it's Treasure. Easy to learn, quick gameplay. R. That's one of the features apparently. R. That was worth putting in the back of the book. Was it? I know I'm missing something. I guess I'm not. Oh no, here we go. I went back to the consignment the next day, and let me tell you, video game guys are so... I don't understand why it has to be so cutthroat. I don't understand why everyone has to feel like this is like this community, this hobby is so competitive. I was in the auction. I was leaving the auction, and I saw a guy in like a black trench coat. He's digging into his backpack, and he's got in his hand a couple of boxed games, NES games. One of them was the Tiny Toon Adventures that we saw the day before and I passed on. And the other one was Gauntlet 2. And I was like, oh, wow, you got Gauntlet 2? Was that in the auction area? He's like, yeah. And I'm like, oh, that's cool. Those are over there, huh? And he's like, yeah, but there's not many. Like, you know, dashing my hopes. There's not even worth checking. Is the kind of the tone I got. And, you know I'm walking up on a stranger, but I mean, this is Gen Con. Everyone here is a gamer. And I would be absolutely excited, elated to talk to somebody about, the couple boxed games that I picked up. And I'm telling him about how happy I was about the Super Nintendo games I have. He couldn't care less. He just wanted me to go. And I was like, God, what is up with video gamers? I know board gamers aren't like this. I mean, I don't know, maybe some of them are, but it's just like, just get over yourself, dude. It's just video games. So anyway, I left this guy, this dude, and I decided to go back into consignment one more time before leaving for the day. And went back to the video game section. I don't know what it is. I don't know if they put more stuff in there throughout the weekend, because I didn't see Gauntlet 2, and there it was. And looking the second time, there was a boxed copy of Where's Waldo. But again, it was like $15, $20. I don't care about Where's Waldo for the Nintendo. But what I did find was, this being the second day, a copy of Spyro. Spyro Enter the Dragon for the PlayStation, complete. It's in great shape. Spyro's fetching, believe it or not, somewhere around $20 to $30 these days.
Really?
Yeah. Oh yeah. And we got it. I'm sorry?
I think mine's a greatest hits one.
Oh, you have a greatest hits one? This is Black Label. This is a Black Label version. And the first day for summer, again, things fall through the cracks sometimes. Despite this game being that expensive online, this guy was asking $6 for it on the first day. We got it on the second day, so we only had to pay $4. $4, no tax. So that's pretty hot. Basically, this pays. If I end up flipping this guy, I don't know, maybe I'll give it as a gift, but I think everyone I know has Spyro at this point. I know I've given my sister a copy. Looks like it's in good shape here. I'll probably end up flipping it or exchanging it at a used store for somewhere around $15 to $20. And if we do that, that'll basically pay for everything else we had grabbed that day, which are the Toon Lone Wolf books, this, and Gold Ahoy. So there you go. You walk away with a few things for no money. So that's pretty hot. So happy to grab that. Now, of course, I didn't. I paid up the ass for the Super Nintendo games. What's that? Oh, you're looking for your copy?
Yeah.
All right, good luck. All right, well, I think we're gonna leave it there for now. I am actually going out to dinner with some friends here in about an hour, so I have to go get ready for that. But yeah, we're gonna leave it there for now. So Anubis, say goodbye to everybody. Okay. And I hope you had a nice day, everybody. The ship is. We're working slowly. This week, we're really concentrating on the navigator. Once I start to get that all together, then I'm going to start looking for a foreman to start working on designing of the ship itself, fixing that. Thank you, ET. Going out to Brazilian. I don't know if you've ever been to a Brazilian steakhouse. It's an experience. It's certainly an experience. All right, but anyway, thanks everybody. Thanks for tuning in. And I'm not Boogie 2988, but thank you for seeing a fat guy on a camera and thinking of one other fat guy on a camera. Let's see you. Let's see. What are you? Let's take a look at your profile. Let me see if I can just. Not that I'm really that offended, but what did I have this morning? Some guy came in. He's like, Robert Baratheon? No, I'm not Robert Baratheon. All right. This guy calls me Boogie. He's got no info, but he's got his PC set specs. Fascinating. All right, whatever. All right, I can't even pronounce this guy's name. MK Emkin Sidox. Did I say that right? Really rolls off the tongue. You know what else I like? People will throw stuff out. This happened with the DVD guy. He'll throw out a question like, are those DVDs porn, or hey Boogie, and then I'll respond to them in, let's say, an enthusiastic way, and they'll be like, dude, what? WTF? These guys are like shocked or offended that I answered them. Sounds amazing. We have one down in the city here. Some of the best beat you can eat. Okay, you have had it. Brazilian's amazing. I've only recently been introduced to Brazilian about a year ago. Brazilian's pretty badass. All right. Oh, that's cool. Don't worry about it, MK. It's no big deal. But you're catching me on my way out. Thank you, everybody, for tuning in. I am going to put this pickup video on YouTube so YouTube can get a little love. But I appreciate you being here with me while we make it. All right. Take care, everybody, and keep your powder dry.